Y'all, I promise you I have not been yawning since this morning when I was on. And here I am, as soon as I get on yawning. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, so I saw earlier that like the whole time I was doing invites, the phone was like, "Arr." So I'm going to try to be more aware of that here for these invites. Let's see, maybe I'll just put it here on the table. And give me 5 minutes to do these invites, guys. Hopefully that's not too bad with the shaking there as I press the screen. If you have joined us before, this is just a reminder that these first 5 minutes, I'm just going to do some invites and y'all can just listen to some tunes. And then for 10 minutes, I will be giving a little talk that many of you have heard before. So if you watch this on the rebroadcast, which most of you do, most of you catch it on the rebroadcast, and so if that is the case, you know that you can go ahead and fast forward through the first 15 minutes because I'm not going to cover any material in the first 15 minutes that you have not heard before if you have been with us here on the morning session this third season, or if you have been in Nightcap. So that's just a little reminder. And so just give me a minute while I go ahead and do these invites. Hopefully it's not like this morning, shaking. I don't know why it was so weird and shaky like that this morning when I was on it. I don't know. So just give me a second. Another 3 minutes of invites, and then we'll move on. Oh, you know what I realized also? Honey Bunny, find me some chapstick or Vaseline or something, please. Because I was looking a little dry and crusty earlier. No, I'd be forgetting about like aesthetics. Like, I probably should like have like work clothes. So I just like looking nice when I get on camera. I just be like trying to not be like in my pajamas. Okay. That's the upgrade from the last season, is that I'm not in my pajamas. Okay. So maybe next season I'll actually get dressed like show worthy or something. And it's what it is. So now it's on you. What you gonna do? I don't want that. Y'all said that you smart, hated up, misunderstood and used. Y'all, you said the devil your life, so you better learn to. Instead of trying to be loved, was unclear about. You ready to turn? Baby, it's not a matter. It's happening. Did you find 1 more minute of invites, and then I'll thank those of you. I'd like to give a shout out to those of you that get in the room earlier. Actually, people come into the live overall. Instead of in line. Haven't already, you can we'll be reading from the Blackroot Science. It's called that. Done. It's your girl Jedi. Rouser, you have is a production of Black and Light Tainment here. Consciousness. You know, it wouldn't be me if I were like, I have been sitting in this seat, and I almost don't sit here any other time. Sitting here for an hour so that I would be ready for on to decide that I need to put something on moisturize, okay? Do y'all be praying for me? Mother, please help us. The Great Investigation through Science, which is what we're studying. Holy Megalith. The Holy Megalith lived by primarily two guys, for the record, okay? And purchase or free download. Don't I downloaded mine for free. I have a financial squeeze. And so if you're squeezed, don't let that stop you from getting them, okay? Let's clear the room. We do not or cause anybody to feel that they are being led astray and so we put some stuff out there here in the first few minutes that if it don't scare you, like glitches you out, you probably don't want to stick around class, because if you can't get in, then it ain't gonna get no better the longer you. So first of all, we are not anti-Christ, however, super duper Christ, okay? Our approach to Christ than the mainstream approach. We believe that Christ was married. The Magdala. They were eternal consorts. We believe that the immaculate nature of his conception was that it was a perfect. We believe that there were generations of preparation of Mary for him to come. His parents were prepared for generations, as well as Mary's parents, his consort, for generations. His ministry was, there was never a time when they didn't know where he was. Jesus were not lost years. Those were years that he was doing things that did not serve the powers that be to tell you what he was. They very intentionally made it their mission to destroy any traces of anything that even reminded them of that, which is a lot of times, guys, you hear in the church where they say Buddha can't save you, Muhammad can't save you. The reason why they make that point is because the original teaching of Islam and Buddhism are very much in line with what Christ actually taught. So much so that Christ was ordained as an official spokesperson in Buddhism. He was like a whole entire Buddhist, okay? He wasn't religious. He wasn't a Buddhist in religion. He was a Buddhist in his set of beliefs lined up with the truth of Buddhism, which is all about balance and accountability and all of that stuff. So anyway, if you would have in the time of Hallelujah, in the time of Yeshua, first of all, let's say a little prayer. We ask that we be protected from any spirit of deception and distraction and distortion, any kind of untruths, that they will not cling to us or move through us, that we will only accept that which is true, holy, and divine for the nourishment of our souls. We ask that the Father and the Mother will bless this time together, that we will be nourished. Amen. So if you would have spent time at a retreat with Yeshua in his day, you would have experienced a very balanced teaching. He would have taught like in the morning, then Miriam would have taught in the afternoon, then he would have taught in the evening, then Miriam would have taught in the morning the next day, then he would have taught in the afternoon, then her in the evening. They literally volleyed the teaching back and forth that way, because one of the major things that Yeshua and all of the true masters of divinity throughout the ages have all taught is gender balance, yin yang. That power dwells, creative life dwells in the dynamic and joyous dance of the male and female, masculine and feminine energy and interaction. Okay, so that is a serious affront and offense to these male-dominated religions and to female-dominated religions. Like, people don't understand that, like, you can't, there's no hierarchy there, okay? And it's not a battle. It's not a battle of the sexes. It's dance. It's fun. It's beautiful. It's lovely. And it's the creative process, okay? So that is one of the reasons why you don't know very much about Yeshua's teachings. You don't know much about his life, because, like, if you knew, you would know that. In terms of the Bible, we understand that the Bible is loosely based and heavy on the loosely, okay, on true events, people, concepts, okay? So loosely, though, that the people that it talks about opted to be tortured to death, and this is men, women, and children, I stress that, to be tortured to death before they would accept, sign on to, or agree to follow what the Bible says or teaches, okay? They were like, no, that ain't it. That ain't it. You're going to have to kill us because we ain't doing that. That we ain't finna do, okay? So, yes, you can find truth if you're a truth seeker. You can grow and develop from reading and studying the Bible. I wouldn't be where I am now if it weren't for many, many years of study of the Bible. However, when you are a truth seeker, there's going to come a point when you're going to be looking at the Bible with the ancestral side eye, okay? Like there's way too many bones to spit out to get to the little bit of meat by the time you sift through all the bones. There was one other thing that I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought, so I guess it doesn't need to be said. So one of the things that, no, we'll leave that for the morning session. So what we're reading tonight is an interview with an elder who is a part of a society of elders who were tasked with keeping this ancient truths hidden until this time for those of us who would be in this time and who would need it and would be able to use it appropriately to recalibrate ourselves and the realm. This group was not the only group on the planet tasked with that work of hiding, preserving these teachings. There are some, they're dotted here and there around the world. As you listen to the teachings, you will see the resonance with other ancient teachings. And so, kind of the further back you go, the story really gets the same in terms of what is told about how it all began and how it all progressed and how we got to where we are now. And so while these texts that we study in the morning, at the morning session, are the actual scriptures that Yeshua lived by, taught from, and his teachings. What this is an interview, a written interview, people sending in inquiries and the elder writing back on an online forum his answers to many, many questions, okay? And so where we left off the other day was... why did I say... Oh, okay, yeah, okay. We left off the other day on page... If you do have it, your text is going to say... Wait, what? Page 140. And your PDF is going to call it page 140. And we're moving right through this, guys. There are only 490 pages of this. So we're on page 140, or 491 pages to be more precise. So we're getting through it pretty good, I think. Right? If you have a copy of the text and you would ever like to get on the camera and read for us, just let me know. And I'll bring you on camera and you can read. I would love that, especially if you are a man, because the dynamic of female voice versus male voice, some days having that male voice is very much in line with the style of the, the way, the true way, right? The Nazarene way, if you will, but I just like it to call it the way. So we're on page 140 of the PDF. Your text itself is going to call it page 138. And we'll be picking up we're going to backtrack a note. We're going to backtrack to page 137 or 139, depending on how you're looking at it. 139 according to your PDF and 137 on the text, okay? There were three things that Yeshua taught. There were three truths that that was the other thing I was going to tell you. Yeshua made a very clear distinction. He called the Hebrews of his day, Aaronites, because they had left the law of Moses and were following the law of Aaron. This is why there was all this drama about the law. He's like, I didn't come here to tear down the law. I came to fulfill it, to show y'all what it's really hitting for. Y'all on some old other stuff. It wasn't that they were not practicing Moses' law good enough. It was that they had completely abandoned Moses' law and were instead living out this thing that Aaron taught, which was a deception by the whole entire devil, that called for blood sacrifice and all this other stuff, which the Most High was like, yeah, that ain't us. That's the other team. Okay. So I know that that's really hard and controversial for a lot of people, but there are 1,000,000,008 million of us that need this truth. And we know inside of us that this is truth. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so we can find one another and build some resonance, so we can generate some power, not so we can take over, do anything to anybody else, but just so that we can live in harmony amongst one another and prosperity and blessings and truth. And anybody that wants to, attach to that, hallelujah, right? So there were three truths that Yeshua taught. There were three major lessons, according to this elder. The first one is that true love is when heart and mind are united. The second one is that heaven is only reached through the sons and daughters of righteousness, who are the 24 elders, right? Meaning you don't get to skip levels of enlightenment and awareness of the, I guess you could say, the spiritual hierarchy, which is not gender-based, but which is origin-based. Those who came first, right? The elders, those closer to the source. You don't get to skip past any, you can't skip past the elders and get straight up to heaven. I guess it's not how it goes. You have to come into an awareness, understanding, and communion with the elders, and then that elevates you to the next level. And the third truth that he came to bring them back to, was that the black woman is God with the black man. That there is only holiness in gender equality. That there is no father without mother, no mother without father. And y'all, we know that to be true, okay? Like, it is totally impossible to be a father without a mother. And you did not become a mother without a father. You just didn't. It did. I don't care what you say. I don't care what happened after the fact, okay? A father makes a mother like a mother makes a father. They come together. You don't get one without the other. And that's what Yeshua came to bring them back into. Like, yo, y'all tripping with all this he-man, woman hating stuff. Like, you can't get to heaven like that. Okay? So we're going to, okay, well, actually, I will. I wasn't going to mention what we were reading this morning, but I will, because it's also here in this. So this is dealing with that last point that I just made. And this is note 16 on page 137 of the text. The third fact that Jesus came to remind black people of is that the black woman is God just as perfectly as the black man. 2,000 years ago, black people who lived in the Middle East, especially in the region today called Israel and Palestine, had been under the influence of the light races for so long that they had adopted some of their oppressive customs, especially the evil customs of oppressing women. They believed the lie that the woman was made from the man's rib. Okay, we just dealt with this in the Holy Megalith. That is something that Satan told Adam because Eve was not trying to get involved in their hunting and killing and flesh eating. Eve was like, I can't do it no more. This is not right. Like, listen, Satan was Lucifer, Satan's servant, was disguised, and he came as an angel of light, and he was calling himself Yahweh, the Lord their God, and he had them killing animals and eating them. And Eve was like, yo, this ain't it. But Adam was like, this is great fun. At first, Adam didn't dig it, but Satan was like, the more you do it, you'll learn to like it, actually. And he did, but Eve never did. And so she protested, and she like rolled out, got away from them. And then Satan was like, she's just soft. That's because she came out your rib. She's not even like a whole real person. She's just like a kind of leftover genetics from you, sort of, right? He's like, she's just soft. She's a coward. That's why she's going to serve you. She's supposed to serve you. She's just supposed to serve you so you can serve me. And that's where that whole thing started, in the deception of the garden. Okay. They believed the lie that the woman was made from the man's rib. People such as Paul the apostle, quote unquote, his quotes, not mine, and his followers did the most damage after Yeshua was gone in furthering this lie. And I done told y'all about Paul and them. Nobody want to listen to me. Y'all love y'all some Paul, but I'm trying to told you I can smell a rat. So he continues, Yeshua not only taught that the black woman was the black man's equal and soulmate without whom neither one is complete, but he actually demonstrated this truth in his relationship with Mary of Magdala. He developed a relationship of equality with this black woman and elevated her to a status beyond even his male disciples. They were initially outraged by his attitude, but soon learned the truth they had forgotten. Hallelujah. And what all of this is just about awakening in you, your cellular soul memory, right? Because of this unity with the chiefs, the custodians of all universal forces and energy, Yeshua also had what is called supernatural power, or power over the elements, as in the case of turning water into wine, quieting the seas, and so on. He made use of these quote-unquote miracles to teach the lesson that black people are not subject to the laws of nature, but rather the laws of nature are subject to and originate from us. Our ancestors of his time, in the midst of their misery, had become superstitious and turned to worshiping natural forces in order to placate them. Such behavior was the result of centuries of ignorance and self-forgetfulness. By demonstrating total control of nature, he reminded them that all the laws and conditions of nature originate from the minds of the 144 chiefs, who are the custodian of all universal conditions. Know ye not that ye are gods? Know ye not that ye are gods? Okay? His fifth lesson had to do with the renewal of the law of Moses. Wait, how we go from third to fifth? What was the fourth? Oh, the fourth was, so the fourth lesson, okay, so lesson 4 is that, let me just make my notes here. Okay, this is the NIGHTCAP s1e13. Okay, so lesson 4 is that black people are not subject to natural law, but have power, supernatural, right? To control nature, i.e. the miracles, right? That was lesson 4, okay? His fifth, okay, wait, let me write where I got that from. And that's on page, what did I say? Page 137, note 17. Okay? His fifth lesson had to do with the renewal of the laws of Moses, who came before him as the fourth Messiah. Remember, there were 7 Messiahs in this last 6,000 years. And Yeshua was in a line of Messiahs, right? So Yeshua was the 5th Messiah. Okay, so Moses was the 4th. His fifth lesson had to do with the renewal of the laws of Moses, who came before him as the fourth Messiah. Moses established many laws and customs that had been lost. After he passed, the light races turned his laws and customs into oppressive superstitions. Their leaders turned them into religious rituals with which they ruled and oppressed the masses, even as they do today in the superstitious religion called Judaism. Yeshua said he came to fulfill the laws of Moses, meaning to re-establish them and explain their purpose. Their main purpose was to promote a clean, hygienic way of life, whereby people avoid disease through the proper treatment of their bodies, food, and animals. Okay? All right, so lesson 5 is the renewal of the laws of Moses. Okay, and we get that on page 137 and note 18. And those laws are, right? Those laws are a clean, hygienic way of life. Okay. Whereby people avoid illness and disease which lead to proper treatment of their body. Okay, so proper hygiene, diet, and proper treatment of animals. Okay? This is what Yeshua came to put down, y'all. All right? In addition, the laws serve the purpose of promoting peaceful coexistence through the so-called 10 Commandments. These two things, proper hygiene and proper social relations, lead to a healthy mind and body, right? So there's two parts to lesson 4, the law of Moses, is hygiene and social order, right? So we have, what did he say? Proper hygiene, and proper social relations. Okay? So with proper hygiene and proper social relations in order, you get to exist in the kingdom of Yah right here. You don't get sick. You don't have fighting. You live a peaceful, wonderful, prosperous, beautiful life. This is what the law of Moses came to bring. Okay? Coexistence, meaning there's no need for you to go and be killing other people for stuff or them to be killing you for stuff, because you have a proper order that makes sure that everybody's got exactly what they need, and people that are lacking what they need, it is all of our responsibility to make sure they get it. And people that don't want to get down, however you get down, go live over there somewhere. And they go do however they do over there, and you do how you do over here. Okay? And everybody just leaves everybody alone. And you get with those who are like-minded and you build. And if people don't want to wash their hands when they use the bathroom, let them go over, live over there with the don't wash their hands people. We don't run over there. trying to force them to wash their hands, okay? We don't run over there buying stuff from them because they didn't wash their hands when they went to the bathroom, and we wash our hands when we go to the bathroom. So therefore, we can't go run and buy from them because their stuff's going to be all cruddy and gross because they didn't wash their hands before they handed us that muffin or that pair of new shoes. Right? But we don't run over there and kill them because they don't wash their hands. These two things, proper hygiene and proper social relations, lead to a healthy mind and body and to peace, both of which are essential for the attainment of divine unity, which is the purpose of life. What is the meaning and purpose of life? Divine unity. Okay? These simple laws had been corrupted beyond recognition, and Yeshua simplified them in his fifth teaching. His sixth lesson was about origin, nature, and destiny of the light races. He described to his disciples all that will happen when the rule of the light races comes to an end. His description of the end time was taken by the races and turned into the scenario of Armageddon, as it is well known today. Okay? So the sixth lesson is what we call Armageddon. Right? The end of the rule of the light races. Okay? He also taught a seventh lesson, which completed his mission on earth. I will discuss it at some other time, as it has to do with the process of ascension. That completes that lesson from the elder. Now we move on to it's going to be page 140 in your manuscript, okay? Wait, where's this guy? It just comes in the middle of a... Okay, so now this is an interviewer writing in a question. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate the knowledge that you were dispensing. However, his name was not Jesus. Who are you referring to? Yeshua ben Pindara? Yeshua ben Procuria? Jesus Christ is a figment of white man's imagination, and clarification of this is vital. I don't say Jesus, but in the text he says Jesus, but he explains this very early on. He says that he's using the most common terms for things. He's not using their actual original words and names, because a lot of this stuff you actually can't even say in human tongues, okay, when you talk about angelic names and concepts and things. He's saying here he is using the most common terms for things that most closely relate so that the widest audience can understand what he's talking about. Okay, he already explained this, but apparently this person wasn't there for that. So we're going to continue reading their question and his answer. Okay, he says, Christ is a principle that I aspire towards. This is still the interviewer writing their question. It's not a person, and it never was. It can be emulated by people, but to define it as a particular individual who was born of a virgin, suffered under Pontius Pilate. Wait, Pilate never mentioned him. That the devil is a lie. There was so many letters about him. It don't make no sense. Neither does Herod. Didn't he go around slaying the male children? He doesn't mention this either. I try to analyze facts and allegories and parables, but there are differences within those three things. Truth can be learned from facts, allegory, myth, and parables, but to equate a fact with an allegory or a myth or a parable is incorrect and untrue. I get my feelings when these people be disrespecting the elder. First of all, when you didn't even listen to what the elder said. Second of all, you don't even know what you're talking about. You up in here trying to be out deep with the elder, like, I'm going to need you to sit down. But the elder going to handle it. So let's see what the elder says. Elder speaks. Greetings, brother. If I were to change the title to The True Teachings of Yeshua ben Pandira or Yeshua ben Procuria, you would no doubt find it more acceptable. Why? Ask yourself, where did you get these names? I'll be very immodest, allow me this one time, and answer the question for you. You got them from the white man. Would you deny this? If that's the case, then why are they not also a figment of white's imagination? I didn't intend to sound arrogant, but I must call it like it is. You're arguing about the falsehood of one name that comes from YT and want to replace it with a true one, but that also comes from YT. So now you reject one of YT's figments and try to replace it with another one of YT's figments of the imagination. That's a preposterous situation. The true name of Yeshua is a particular sound. After all, alphabets only represent sounds. Now that sound, which is his name, can best be approximated using the Aramaic alphabet. All other approximations are translations, the closest being Hebrew and Arabic, as these two languages are the closest to Aramaic. So I approximate his name as Yeshua ben Yusuf. That sound, not the letters, comes the closest to the original Aramaic sound. But I prefer to use the name Jesus. The reason is because that's the common name most people are familiar with. If I were to use an obscure name like Yeshua ben Pandira, it would serve those who are well read in religious matters, but it would leave most people with the impression that I'm referring to another Jesus different than the one in the Bible. My goal is to reveal that the Jesus of the Bible actually existed, but his teachings were stolen and changed to serve the money and power interests of the Catholic Church. The best way to get back what they stole is not to claim that he never existed just because we hate what the church did with his teachings, but to reveal his true teachings, which were and are still for the benefit of Black people. This is stolen merchandise. We must get it back by direct positive confrontation of their lies and not by a negative method of denial or trying to erase history. And the interviewer writes back, I only have 1 minute here at this time, but I would find it more truthful if correct name were used. Yeshua ben Pandira, etc. are cataloged in the annals of various historians that lived around the time and after. I can verify this info, whereas with Jesus it is fiction. Additionally, Yeshua ben Pandira and Yeshua ben Percuria are two different people. And the elder answers, the two names Pandira and Percuria refer to the same person, Joseph, the father of Yeshua, Jesus. They are what today would be called descriptive names. That's a name or person is known by instead of his proper name. For example, a small town carpenter would be called Joe the Carpenter instead of Joe Smith to distinguish him from other Joes in the town. In addition to being a carpenter, Joseph was a debt collector for rich people or money lenders. Hence, he was called Procurius in Greek, which became Procurius in Latin. It means to take care of something for someone else. The word Pandira is a corruption of the ancient African word patella, which literally means pay up. The Dutch word betaal, to pay, is derived from it. So the two words are identical and were used interchangeably to refer to Joseph. As has happened many times with the translations of other people's names, translators assumed these were two different people and even assigned different time periods to them. To add to the confusion, there were many other people by the name of Pandira, which was as common as the name for carpenter. And so there are other Yeshua ben Pandiras who also became famous for different reasons. So when you see the name mentioned, don't assume the narrator knows the difference between one person and another of the same name. The interviewer says, a different interviewer, if I may add my 2 cents to this discussion, Yeshua ben Pandira, the Talmudic character, is fictional. A major modern sanctuary of the worship of Asar, Aset, and Haru, and this held true also very heavily in the Christian era, is a city called Tata, often written with the Medu Netter symbol for the soft T or D. It is pronounced Dada, and often spelled Tet-Teru or Tet-Tet. The triad of the city was Ba Neb Tata, Hat Mehit, and Haru Patkat. A bishop was sent from this region to the Council of Nicaea, Remember, bishop is actually defined by Webster as the head of a non-Christian religious sect or group, etc. Asar was identified with Ba-Neb-Tata. Look at the names of Asar in all the shrines wherein he dwells. See Budge's Gods of the Egyptians, Volume 2, Osiris chapter. One of Asar's titles as Asar Ba-Neb-Tata, Ba means Ram, Neb means Master Lord, Tata or Dada is the name of the city. Ba-Neb-Dada is thus the great Ram Lord of the city, Tata or Dada. The Greeks called the city Mendes, Hat-Mehit, was identified with Auset. Haru-Pa-Ka'at, meaning Haru the child, was identified with Haru or Kensu, son of Asar and Auset. Ba-Neb-Tata or Bab-Neb-Dada became corrupted into Ba-Nedada, Banedada, Benedada, Pandada, and Pandera. Remember the rolling R in our ancestral languages, tongue's topping of the roof of the mouth once, sounds like a soft D. This is why Tuesday in the Akan language, Bendada, Benhada, is veritably indistinguishable with Benada, when the rolling R is pronounced. This is why Ra is pronounced Da in Iwi or Vodun. B and P are interchangeable. The N is nasal. Asar or Bondada, Bandera, Pandera, Pandara, Pandera is the father, symbolized as a ram. Haru Pa-Ka'a is Haru, Kensus, Hesus, Yeshu, son of Pandera. The son of the ram is the lamb. There is no historical Jesus named Ben Pandera. This was a major mistake made by Gerald Massey. All of this information is in the texts of our ancestors in the languages and cultural spiritual practices of our contemporary ancestral clans, Akan, Bokongo, Yoruba, Igbo, Bambara, Nguni, Dogon, etc. Sources, Kwesi Ra, Nemen Aka. And the elder answers. It is not possible to discover the truth by tracing it backwards. Truth can be known only by starting at the origin and going forward. Any other method will lead to error. God starts as a singularity or divine unity of all black people and separates into the endless multiplicity that makes up the universe. To try and discover the unity of God by creating the multiple parts as in a jigsaw puzzle will always result in error. In the same way, so too do all living systems in creation originate from unity and diversify into multiplicity. This is true of life forms which originate from the unity of character into the 144,000 totems and then multitudes of species. It's also true of language, which is itself a living system. All languages on earth without exceptions. Greetings, welcome to the room. I can't see who you are, but bless up. All languages on earth without exception developed from the 12 original languages. Ricky, cousin, what's up? Blessings to you. Good to see you. I hope that you're well. Give my love to everyone. So where was I? All languages on earth without exception developed from the 12 original languages of the Black nation. The 12 languages originate from one language called the unspoken language. It's a language of thought, symbols, or telepathy, and all genuine symbols of initiation, including genuine hieroglyphs, originate from the mental symbols. I love you too, cousin. As soon as this language is uttered, it differentiates into 12 spoken languages because there are 12 gods at the heads of the 12 tribes. 12 gods in mind unity, 24 elders in physical manifestation. That's how the 12 languages came about. All other languages in turn came from the 12, and they developed by a process of corruption. Corruption comes about as a result of the deterioration of the human body. All human bodies on earth have been deteriorating steadily for 6,000 years or longer if one goes back 50,000 years. As they deteriorate, the tongue and the vocal cords, as well as the parts of the brain responsible for speech, also decline. This causes a downward change in speech or devolution, if you will. Thus, all Earth's languages today are inferior to those in the past, and those are inferior to the original 12. Now, the 12 original languages are spoken by 12 modern tribal societies on Earth. 10 of those societies are in Africa. Of these 10, one is the language called Setswana. The Botswana tribe of southern Africa speak a modern version of it called Setswana. The original itself, Setswana, is the language of initiation of the Botswana. Similarly, the 11 other Black societies that are custodians of the ancient languages use them in their initiations. In order to discover how the modern languages in the Bakongo, Yoruba, Igbo, etc. become what they are, one must start with the original language and follow its differentiation going forward in time until the present. It is not possible to start with the multitudes of languages and reconstruct the original by a backward tracing type of scholarly investigation. It's as impossible as trying to put together a broken eggshell. There are so many discontinuities in the de-evolution from singularity, to multiplicity that you would encounter insurmountable pitfalls. It's somewhat similar to the pitfalls modern paleontologists encounter when they try to reconstruct the original totems from the multitudes of plants and animals on Earth. The discontinuities make it difficult to bridge across many of the gaps and variations. By discontinuities, I mean sudden changes that show no relationship between what came before and what followed immediately after. For example, the change from a chrysalis, worm, to a butterfly is an insurmountable discontinuity. It is not possible to trace this change backwards by a scholarly or intellectual study. You can only understand this type of transformation by actually witnessing it. Otherwise, you'd never believe that a worm could turn into a butterfly. Similarly, there are many such traps awaiting scholars in the development of languages. The erroneous reconstruction of Pandera from Ba-Nebtata is just such an example. This type of intellectual exercise relies entirely on guesswork. The scholar searches for words that sound alike and then associates them. This is completely arbitrary. By necessity, the scholar must restrict himself to only those words he knows. What if the correct association is with words he's never heard of? He must perforce exclude them since he has no inkling of their existence. As you can see, the only correct way is to start with the original language and then follow it forward experientially over the millennia to see how it became the various languages. The only way to do this is by the infallible method of initiation. It allows the mind to travel back in time and live the lives of the ancestors and actually experience firsthand the diversification of languages, and at the same time confirm beyond the possibility of doubt the existence of these very same ancestors and discover their true names. All right, that was a lot, but I think it was pretty simple, right? So now you have the interviewer reply back. First of all, I disagree with most of what you have stated, more notably concerning your comment about the impossibility of discovering the truth by tracing it backwards, especially since after you made that comment, you proceeded to go backwards to try and prove a point. You stated that the 12 languages originate from one language called the unspoken language. The unspoken language, are you saying this is the name of the original language, the unspoken language? I'll wait for you to comment on that while I compose other questions. I don't like this person. Y'all, just for the record, from where I'm sitting, okay, from how I'm made up, this person is very disrespectful to this elder, and their arrogance makes them look silly because he has already spoken of these things previously, right? Like this stuff he made clear. And so they're being arrogant because they want to prove that this is the problem with educated people, right? With people with degrees and things, because they have learned so much that the white people have told them is the official story about everything, that they can't learn from the elders. And the elders are like, listen, I know the system, if you will, told you this and that, but that don't make no sense. That's not what we do. Like, for instance, guys, let me just give you an example. I watched this happen in real time. Okay, so I was living in Belize, right? And one of the things that grows all over Belize is culantro, right? It's similar to cilantro, but whereas cilantro, you get that fresh flavor when it's fresh, culantro, it comes out when it's cooking, but it's the same flavor palette. It's a hardier plant, and it's like the same plant, but one is for using fresh and one is for cooking, right? So cilantro has a cousin, culantro, that grows all over the place in Belize. Now, all Belizeans just know, in order to plant the culantro, all you do is you harvest it just by cutting off the top, and then you just plant the root. So when you buy culantro, if you don't have it growing in your yard, you just cut off the top, use the top, stick the root in the ground. Done. Water it a little bit and done. Okay. A group of white people, missionaries, raised all this money to come to Belize and teach Belizeans how to grow culantro. And they taught them to go out and find water bottles and put dirt in the one. They had this whole system for like how to grow culantro. The fact that they raised $50,000, 50,000 US dollars to send these 12 white women to Belize to teach Belizeans how to grow culantro. And Belizeans are like, we've been growing culantro on this land forever. What are you talking about? Don't nobody need to do all that. All you got to do is put it in the ground and it literally grows. But this is what the elder is trying to tell this cat, right? Like, you can't do it that way. This is why griots are so important. This is why they interrupted our process of passing the information from one generation to one generation. This is why they drag the children to these schools and away from the villages. And one of the major movements of colonization is to remove children from their indigenous environments and to put them into schools to educate them, because they are disrupting that ancestral memory that gets passed, and they're replacing it with a new narrative that has very short memory and is filled with lies and distortions. Whereas your grandmother been told you what she had been told you, and you knew it was true, right? Like, I watched Grandma Elizabeth Harris down there on Coat Street bringing a many a bald baby's hair. I'm going to tell you what her secrets was, okay? Coffee grinds, Vaseline, and baby magic. I don't care what nobody says about newfound products and that stuff is bad for you and you can't. Listen, the devil is a whole entire lie. Let me tell you, she would put some coffee grinds in that hair, and before you knew it, people had whole entire afros, okay? People that was bald, had patches, hair all ugly, rough, and stuff. Listen. Okay? Now, I know people today will fall over out their chair if you tell them I'm fit just mix up some baby lotion and some Vaseline, put it in my hair to find the curls with that. Oh my God, they want you to go to YouTube Master and buy some product that they're selling on Amazon now. Listen, I'm not saying that there's not nice stuff out there, new products, but I'm going to tell you what I know works. If you got you some bald patches, you better get you some coffee grinds. You better put them coffee grinds in their hair and brush that thing through and stuff like that. Okay, soak them coffee grinds in some water, dip that brush in that water, and now, right? How many of you remember being young, okay, back in my day in school? I remember in elementary school when they would talk about the Pilgrims and the Indians, like 80% of the black kids in class were saying, we got Indian in our blood, we got Indian in our blood. And the teachers and the white kids would go crazy talking about, no, you can't have Indian in your blood. Your people are from Africa. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's realizing, wow, copper-colored peoples. We was trying to tell them, we looking at the pictures clearly, the people look black. They brown-skinned the people on the picture. Indian red, who had a box of Crayola crayons back in the day and had Indian red in it? Indian red was brown, was a beautiful dark brown, like a whole lot of sisters and brothers is out there. But because they had switched the narrative to where now Native American or Indian, American Indian means the descendants of the white people, right? That they want to erase the fact that our people told us we was Indians. They told us this. You want to tell me my grandmother don't know who she is? Because your book told you that I'm from Africa? But my grandma says she's from here, though. Yeah, my grandpa came from Africa, but my grandma from here. Right? I was in them classes when these kind of discussions was going down. We was getting laid out by teachers, right? This is what the elder is talking about. He's trying to get them into an awareness that the whole system is completely corrupt because it is being run by these lighter races who just got here, and they are basing all of their academia off of their lack of understanding and very short history. And they have tried to kill and wipe out anybody with real history or real understanding so that they could not be challenged. But the thing about truth is you can't kill it. But here you got this part, you got these people arguing with the elder. This elder comes from generations of griots who are literally trained word for word for word for word, trained in trance and ritual to be able to retrieve the knowledge to make sure that the next generation gets it. You want to argue because you got a degree or you read some book that, like, listen. Right? So I'm going to read the elder's last answer to that question, and then we're going to get out of here, okay? So that person said, basically, I call BS, I'm a scholar and I know better than you. What are you talking about, unspoken language? And you know what? And I want to deal with that too. Those of us that know good and darn sight well that when you are really connected with somebody, you ain't got to say nothing. You don't need to speak to communicate. Me and Bert used to do it all the time. Those of you that know, I had a sister. She was 2 years younger than me, 2 today, right? We shared the same birthday. We were so tight, they used to call us Falert. My birth name is Falak. Her name was Roberta. They called her Bert. They used to say we shared one brain. Me and Bert could sit in the room and we could be in the room for 2 hours and never speak to each other, just exchange an occasional glance, an occasional smile, this, that, right? And then leave the room and that later that day be recapping the day's events and know exactly what conversation we had without speaking in the room earlier. And be like, girl, I know when so-and-so said such and such, you was thinking such and such. Exactly what I was thinking. Like, we literally would do this. Those of you that are close to someone, hallelujah, know that the original language is telepathic. How do you communicate with a baby? How do people know what the baby wants? The baby doesn't speak language, but you can know what that baby wants. You can read the mind of a dog or a cat. You can know. You can look at your dog and here come the dog, give you the look, and you can know if that dog wants water or if that dog wants out or if that dog wants to scratch or if that dog done did something they ain't got no business. You know, you look right at that dog. You say, oh, you thirsty, honey? Hold on. Why? Because the original language is unspoken. But here you got this clown want to question the elder because they're so scholarly. I get irritated about that kind of stuff. I'm tired. I'm tired of our people fighting for the right to be ignorant, you know? Anyway, we're a little bit over time, but I'm going to go ahead and read the elder's response. I'm going to take the time. So maybe take us over about 5-6 minutes. We'll be all right, hopefully. So the elder answers their ignorant insertion and says, the unspoken language is the mother of the 12 spoken languages. The reason it is called the unspoken language is because it doesn't involve speech, but only thought symbols. So it's a silent communication and cannot possibly have a name. Hence, it's called the silent language. The word language may be an inappropriate translation here since it implies speech. But look, in English, computer programming is called a language. So too is the communication of deaf and dumb people, called sign language, even though neither one involves speech. This is the nature of all corrupted human languages, especially in the light race languages. They've reached a state of extreme devolution and are riddled with self-contradictions. Such is not the case with the ancient languages. They are a perfect means of communication whose words are so absolutely clear that they admit no possibility of misinterpretation. This may sound far-fetched, but that's because the majority of Black people on Earth have forgotten our original languages due to the circumstances of the past 6,000 years. And guys, we're going to leave off our study there, okay? We're going to leave our study off there. That takes us to page 145 of the text. Let me take my note. Whoops. Page 145, and this is for NIGHTCAP. Note 51. So if you're unfamiliar, we are reading from the Black Root Science, ladies and gentlemen, here at the NIGHTCAP. Thank you so much for tuning in. This text is available on thegreatinvestigation.com. It is available for sale. If you are in a position to purchase it, please do. If you're not able to purchase it, they have made it available for free download. So, cause I love this study. It's a wonderful study. Anytime you can tune in, do. And if you can't tune in when I'm live, because I'm live every morning at 9, where we're studying a different text, and we're live in the evenings at 9, where we study this. In the morning, we're studying the Nazarene Bible. You know, Jesus was a Nazarite. Well, he had scriptures that he taught from, and then there are countless scriptures of his teachings, like this idea of the lost years of Jesus. There's just nonsense. There was never a point when people were not writing down everything that was happening with him, like from before his birth, because he was a special predicted birth and people prepared for it, and he was not missing for years. But they want you to believe that because the teachings are really deep and really empowering in ways that if more of us knew it and really dug it, there's no way you would have so much poverty, so much crime, so much war. It just wouldn't exist. And so, it is what it is. But both of those texts, that's the Holy Megalith, and this is the Black Root Science. They are both available on thegreatinvestigation.com. You can download them for free or purchase them. If you're able to purchase, please do, because it allows the work that they are doing to go forth. But if not, the reason they made them available for free download is because it's more important that you read it for free than that you pay for it. Amen. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to remind you, as I just did, we are here 9 a.m. Monday through Friday for the study of the Holy Megalith. We are here Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. because I do take the Shabbat on Saturday, so I don't go live on Friday night. And don't forget to check out the YouTube channel, Black Enlightainment, and check out that playlist. The song in the intro is one of my songs. I know that it's not technically great, but there's a playlist called The Culture. They're original songs by me. Check them out. Give a little thumbs up. Even if you hate the songs, just put your phone on mute and let the song play all the way through, just to help my little algorithm that it actually gets full views of the songs, guys. And, give me a little feedback, a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's all the same. There's no such thing as bad press, as they say. As well as my TikTok is a new baby TikTok, Empress Jedi. The old one is gone. So all those followers and all those videos are no more. So I'm starting over with, I actually have 195 followers on the new TikTok, which is like, oh, we're moving up a little bit. Slowly but surely we're getting there. So do check me out on TikTok, and I'll try to be better about feeding it. Maybe I'll do a couple TikTok videos because there are a couple things that I've been wanting to talk about. Maybe I'll do them tonight or tomorrow morning. So with that, guys, I am out of here. I thank you for joining. I'm so grateful that you always come around, that you're always picking up whatever I'm putting down. You never let it fall to the ground. You are the MVP. There would be no point in me doing this if you guys did not show up and share the moment with me. So may the Most High be blessed in all you think, do, and say today and always. If you want to ascend and elevate and escalate and rise higher and all of these things, all you have to do is be, guys. Authenticity is righteousness. We do not believe that no one is perfect. Everyone is actually perfect. You were created exactly as you needed to be in order to come and do what you came to do. So take the time and get to know yourself. How do you get to know yourself? By getting to know your creator. How do you get to know the creator? Well, by spending time with the creation. Get out in sunshine, talk to babies, explore the woods, play with the animals, watch the bugs, watch the clouds, watch the stars, interact with nature, and you will learn about your God. And learning about your God is learning about yourself, because Yeshua told us, no, you're not, that you are God's. Word. So I'm Empress Jedi, the Rabble Rouser, guys. This has been the evening session here at Black Enlightainment, where we are broadcasting consciousness. And with that, I am out. I love you, cuz. Shalom, y'all.